Amid the breathtaking landscapes of California's countryside, there was a sanctuary that seemed untouched by the rush of the modern world. Sunrise Vineyard, with its rolling hills of vines swaying like a green sea under the sun, held an almost mystical charm. But it wasn't just the beauty of the place that drew attention, it was the man behind it all. Ethan Coldwell, a reclusive widower, had turned his grief into an empire of award-winning wines, surrounded by secrets that sparked both curiosity and respect in equal measure. Everything changed when Olivia Reed entered the picture. A young and ambitious journalist, Olivia was known for her talent in crafting stories that transcended words, touching the hearts of those who listened. When her editor suggested she write a profile on Ethan, she saw it as a rare opportunity, but also the greatest challenge of her career. Ethan, infamous for his disdain for journalists, carried a mistrust that seemed to run deeper than mere superficiality, as though he feared his wounds would be exposed to anyone who dared come too close. Olivia knew that what awaited her wasn't just a feature story, but a journey of discovery. What she didn't anticipate was how this story would change not only her career, but also her life. Dawn was breaking when Olivia arrived at Sunrise Vineyard. The hills were wrapped in a delicate mist, and the scent of damp earth mixed with the sweet aroma of ripe grapes. The entrance to the property was marked by an ornate iron gate that, once passed, led to a cypress-lined driveway. Ethan awaited her on the porch of his home, a robust stone and wood structure that combined rustic charm with elegance. Tall with deep green eyes, he had a commanding presence that seemed to fill the space. As Olivia approached, a chill ran down her spine, not of fear but of reverence for the intensity he exuded. "Mr. Coldwell, it's a pleasure to meet you," she said, extending her hand. Ethan hesitated briefly before shaking it. "I'm not sure the feeling is mutual, but you're here. That's what matters." His voice was deep, laced with skepticism. He made it clear that she wouldn't get a conventional interview. "Before we talk, you need to understand what this place represents. You'll spend a week working in the vineyard. If you can handle that, then we'll talk." Olivia didn't flinch. "I accept the challenge." The work in the vineyard was grueling. Ethan ensured he supervised her closely, yet he always maintained an emotional distance. Olivia found herself challenged not just by the physical labor, but also by the invisible wall Ethan had built around himself. As she learned to prune the vines and balance what needed preserving with what had to be removed, Olivia realized the vineyard was more than a business to Ethan, it was his sanctuary. Watching him, she noticed moments of unexpected tenderness, like when he ran his fingers over the leaves, almost as if he were communicating with them. During a lunch break under the shade of a tree, Olivia tried to spark a conversation. "Why did you choose the vineyards?" Ethan gazed at the horizon before answering. "I didn't choose the vineyards. They chose me. After I lost my wife, this was the only place that made sense. Everything here reminds me of her." Olivia felt a pang in her heart. There was so much pain behind those words that she couldn't immediately respond. As the days passed, Olivia uncovered more about Ethan's tragedy. His wife, Isabel, had died in a car accident on a stormy night. Ethan carried the guilt, believing he could have stopped her from leaving that night. Meanwhile, Olivia noticed signs of sabotage in the vineyard. Small sections of the crops were being damaged, as though someone knew precisely where to strike. When she shared her concerns with Ethan, he initially dismissed the idea, but it soon became clear he couldn't ignore the evidence. Working together, they discovered that one of Ethan's former competitors was behind the attacks, trying to tarnish his reputation. This unexpected partnership brought the two closer, breaking down some of the barriers Ethan had built around himself. The relationship between Ethan and Olivia began to shift in subtle but undeniable ways. One quiet evening, as they shared a bottle of wine, one of the first produced by Ethan and Isabel, the silence between them was filled with something deeper, almost tangible. Ethan stared at the bottle for a long moment before speaking, his voice heavy with the weight he seemed to carry for years. "Guilt is like a burden that never fades. It follows me in every step, in every decision I make here. But maybe—" He hesitated, his eyes fixed on the fireplace's flames. "It's time to let Isabel rest." Olivia, sitting beside him, felt her heart tighten at his words. She gently placed her hand on his, feeling the tension in his fingers ease slightly under her touch. She would never want you to live like this, trapped in pain. Maybe it's time to let this place represent not only the past but also a future. A future you deserve to have. Ethan turned to face Olivia, his deep green eyes glowing with a mix of vulnerability and gratitude. It's easy to talk about the future, but for me, it has always felt like a distant thing. You're the first person who's made me think that maybe I can still find something good to move forward with. In that moment, the air between them seemed to hum with a palpable connection. Ethan opened the bottle of wine he had kept since Isabel's passing, a gesture laden with meaning. The sound of the cork popping echoed in the quiet room. He poured 2 glasses, handing one to Olivia. Isabel loved this wine, he said, holding his glass carefully. She said it carried the soul of this place. Maybe it's time to toast to the soul of this place and to what it can still offer us. Olivia raised her glass, her eyes meeting his in a silent gesture of understanding. In that toast, something new was born between them, a shared hope, a spark of something neither dared to name but both felt deeply. That moment was not just a step toward Ethan's healing, but also the beginning of something that could change both their lives forever. With the sabotage neutralized and Ethan more open, the bond between him and Olivia deepened in unexpected and profound ways. Over the final days, Olivia found herself increasingly moved by Ethan's story. She now understood with clarity why he had earned his reputation as a guarded and private man. Each detail about his life, his losses, and his fight to sustain the vineyard were like layers she had uncovered, and these revelations profoundly affected her. The connection they were developing brought forth feelings in Olivia that she didn't know how to handle. She needed to write her piece, but the eyes that once sought only a story now saw a complex man, marked by pain yet infused with a hope she had helped reignite. Sitting in her room, Olivia poured an unprecedented level of care into crafting her article. She wrote about Ethan not as the untouchable man many had imagined, but as a resilient soul who had turned tragedy into something beautiful and enduring. Her words captured the spirit behind the vineyard and the heart of a place that was not merely a business but a living tribute to Isabel. When she finished, she felt a mix of pride and nerves. Before submitting it for publication, she decided that Ethan needed to see it first. The next afternoon, Olivia prepared a simple yet thoughtful spread: artisan bread, local cheeses, and a bottle of Ethan's favorite wine. She invited him to the porch overlooking the vineyards, where the golden sunlight created an almost magical backdrop. Ethan arrived, surprised but intrigued. "What's this?" he asked, with a faint smile Olivia rarely saw. "I want you to read this before anyone else does," she said, handing him the manuscript. "You deserve to know how your story will be told." As Ethan read in silence, Olivia watched every emotion flicker across his face: surprise, melancholy, and finally, a warmth that seemed to brighten him. When he finished, he placed the manuscript on the table and looked at her, his eyes shining with something she couldn't fully decipher. "You did it," he said, his voice low but filled with emotion. "You captured what even I couldn't see anymore. These words. They're like a window into everything I feel but never knew how to express. Thank you, Olivia." She smiled, her own emotions brimming, as he took her hand. "You've changed so much in me this past week. I thought this place would be my only refuge forever, but you've shown me there's more. A reason to move forward. And maybe something more." After that moment, Olivia submitted her article, and it became an instant success. Readers across the country were deeply moved by the story of resilience and hope that Olivia had captured so poignantly. Sunrise Vineyard gained even more recognition, with a significant boost in sales and renewed interest in its story. Seeing the results of the article, Ethan felt a warmth in his heart he hadn't experienced in years. Reflecting on everything that had happened, Ethan decided to invite Olivia back to the vineyard, not for work, but to share his feelings. He prepared a special dinner under the stars, with a table set between the vines. When Olivia arrived, the warmth in Ethan's smile and the thoughtfulness in every detail spoke volumes. During dinner, Ethan finally opened his heart. Olivia, you've brought back something I thought I'd lost forever. You've shown me there's beauty in the present and that the future can hold something good. I don't know how to thank you for that, but I do know I don't want you to be just a part of my story. I want you to be my partner from here on out. Overwhelmed, Olivia responded without hesitation. Ethan, from the moment I stepped here, I felt something different. Something I couldn't ignore, even when I tried. I want to be by your side. I want us to build this next chapter together. They shared a passionate kiss, surrounded by the serenity of the vineyard and the soft glow of light strung between the vines. In that moment, they decided to unite their paths and share their lives. Ethan and Olivia's story reminds us that even in the greatest sorrows, there is room for healing, love, and new beginnings. Every challenge carries the potential for rebirth, and true connections have the power to transform not only our lives but also the world around us. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope and inspiration. Leave a comment about how it impacted you and follow us for more stories like this. And remember, God works in our hearts even during the darkest times. Just as Ethan found a new purpose and Olivia discovered the beauty of giving herself fully, God can renew our lives too. He teaches us that love heals, transforms, and leads us to new beginnings. Trust the process, for there's a greater plan unfolding for you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.